Hey guys, Karan Binani from Obi Scrub here, and I'm going to be giving you an in-depth review on the Asus Zenfone 5Z. It's been making a lot of news, and that's because it's simply the best Zenfone Asus has ever made. It's a really good phone because it's got the fastest Snapdragon processor that there is, and it's the same one that's in the Galaxy S9 and the OnePlus 6 as well. It's running the latest version of Android 8 Oreo, and it's got options of 6 and 8 gigs of RAM, dual SIM card with dual VoLTE, expandable storage, a dual camera setup with 4K video recording at 60 FPS, and you get a 6.2-inch IPS LCD display with a 90% screen-to-body ratio. I just copied that from their website. So it's pretty much a great phone to begin with, but there are a couple of misses too, such as it's not certified water or dust resistant, it's got that notch design, love it or hate it. It's not as ergonomic as the OnePlus 6 and the Galaxy S9. It's got a very distracting rear panel. And I'm not going to go to the extent of saying that it does not have its own smart assistant or that it does not have wireless charging, because that's not currently expected in a device that costs just Rs 30,000. But those would have been great add-ons. So let's get on with the in-depth review. Starting with the build, the Zenfone 5Z is pretty much your usual glass-covered, beautiful-looking phone with an aluminum body, and that makes it a pretty lightweight device despite having a massive 6.2-inch display. It's 165 grams and 7.9 millimeters thick, which I think is appropriate. The device has soft and very well-rounded corners, which also makes it, feel premium and easy in the hands. However, I do find the device slightly wide, but it's something you can get easily used to. So it's not super convenient for one-hand use, but you can if you really have to. And again, I think with flagship devices, one-handed use is really not an option. From a design standpoint, you get the popular bezel-less approach on the display with a screen-to-body ratio of 90% protected with Corning Gorilla Glass for strength and durability. The back is glass too, and it has this really interesting play of light as well. Both glasses are 2.5D, that is, they're slightly raised from the surface, and I find that quite nice as well. It comes with a Type-C port, and the phone does support quick charging as well as AI charging, and we will talk about that later in the video. In the slot department, you have a hybrid tray, so you can have either two SIM cards with dual VoLTE enabled, or you can have one SIM card and one microSD card with up to 2 TB in storage, and it is ultra-fast storage compliant, so you get immense writing and read speeds. The guys at Asus have also focused a lot on the audio hardware that's integrated into the Zenfone 5Z. It's got a bunch of audio upgrades like dual 5-magnet speakers, dual smart amp, it's compatible with DTS Headphone X, and all that jazz, which basically means that it is definitely going to give you a great music experience with or without headphones. While you do have general speakers on the phone, the earpiece also doubles as a speaker, and you get a headphone jack. And because the phone is DTS Headphone X compatible, Asus also packs in the earphones that is compatible with the DTS Headphone X, so you get really good audio experience overall. Coming to the hardware specifications of the phone, you get a device with the latest Android 8 Oreo powered by the most powerful Snapdragon processor so far, the Snapdragon 845. With that comes with Adreno's 630 GPU, and that's crazy great. The phone does come in 3 variants. One with 6 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of internal storage, 6 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage, and another one with 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of storage. You get a beautiful 6.2-inch Full HD Plus IPS display with the notch, which you can obviously turn off from the settings. The phone obviously comes with a notification LED, which is good, and the headphone jack stays where it should be. 8-megapixel camera in the front and a dual camera setup at the back with 4K video recording, AI and portrait photography, and wide-angle capabilities. Let's quickly talk about the software. So the Zenfone 5Z comes with Android 8 right out of the box and has the latest version of Zen UI, which is version 5. And it's pretty lightweight. It doesn't come with too many preloaded stuff except for, the basic Google suite of apps and some Asus specific apps, including the Selfie Master, which is an app that allows you to take selfies applying various beauty modes, actually various levels of beauty mode, and allows you to broadcast your selfie real time on social media apps like Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger and YouTube. If you look at the notification panel, you'll see a couple of new things. First one is AI Boost, which essentially optimizes your phone for high performance, better suited for gaming and computing intensive apps. It'll obviously eat more battery, but you'd probably be better off. They've given memory cleaner right there to free up some RAM. You've got the NFC toggle, multi-window feature, quick one-handed operation, easy access to FM radio and screenshot. And it's got a glove mode that increases the sensitivity of your phone's touch right there. You also get a couple of personalization options across the UI, so you can change the way your apps line up, ability to hide, lock and manage apps the way you want. You can also change themes every day, so you can just go to the theme store and there are a bunch of them available, so you can pretty much download them and install them for free, and there are some paid ones as well, so choice is yours. You can tweak the display, hide the notch or show the notch. You can also tweak the display in terms of temperature and tone and the color gamut and all of that, and you also get adjustable AI ringtone and many other things. You also get an inbuilt device maintenance app called Power Master, which does all the optimization that's required to have an intense battery life and just ensures that you get maximum out of your battery. And again, seriously, there's so many features that you could keep exploring in this device. Moving on to the display, it's a 6.2-inch IPS display with a resolution of 1080 by 2246 pixels, which is an extremely sharp display, and it's really bright. Images look really sharp, colors look really good, and the entire bezel-less experience is pretty amazing to have at this price point. You can see it for yourself how good all of this looks, and the experience in person is obviously even better. And the display really comes to life when you're playing HD games like Modern Combat. It just looks so good, and couple that with stereo sound that's coming out of the earpiece and the speakers, it's really nothing less than a flagship experience that you get from a phone like the OnePlus 6 or the Galaxy S9. Now, within display settings, you obviously get auto brightness, and you also get some tweaks to really adjust the display temperature and the color gamut as per your own preference. And now I'm going to talk about the performance, which is pretty much what Asus has bet all its eggs on, and that's how it's competing with the OnePlus 6. It's basically got an extremely similar performance score as compared to the OnePlus 6. Please note the OnePlus 6 that I have is 8 gigs of RAM as compared to the 6 gigs of RAM on the Asus on the left. The Zenfone 5Z is quite snappy, it's pretty smooth, and it's actually fast. I mean, no complaints at all. Totally a flagship worthy experience, and there is really no material difference between the performance of the two phones, one being the Asus Zenfone and the other being the OnePlus 6. I did play quite a few games on the Zenfone 5Z, and there's a whole lot video on it, so check that out for gaming performance. But in conclusion, the gaming on the Zenfone 5Z is absolutely smooth and flawless. The games launch and load really quickly, and the gameplay is buttery smooth. Coming to the camera, which is probably one of its most advertised and talked about feature. So from a hardware perspective, you get a dual camera setup with one lens being 12 megapixel and the other one being a wide angle 8 megapixel lens with the capability of shooting 4K videos and Full HD videos at 60 FPS. Now, if you look at the software, you get pretty much a lot of stuff that you can use and a lot of camera modes that you can switch through. So there's Auto HDR, there's the Pro mode, you get a super resolution mode, you can create GIFs, there's panorama, there's slow motion at 240 FPS, and there is time lapse as well. And here are some samples that I've taken with the Asus Zenfone 5Z camera in various lighting conditions. A couple of things that I want to talk about is, one, the photographs taken by the Asus Zenfone 5Z are very natural, and I've compared it to the OnePlus 6 as well. I haven't put that over here, but I can tell you that they're more natural and they're not as saturated. So it's really just a matter of what you like. If you like natural looking pictures, then the Zenfone 5Z has done a brilliant job. The Zenfone 5Z also has AI photography, so it automatically adjusts a lot of things to give you the best picture in that lighting condition, which I think is pretty cool too. Now let's also talk about the video shooting capabilities of the Zenfone 5Z. So it can shoot 4K videos and Full HD videos at 60 FPS, which is very smooth. There was a slight problem when it came to outdoor shots. So indoor shots, it was pretty fascinating and amazing. But over here in the outdoors, there was just one small problem. One was quick autofocus. It's not as quick, so I have to tap. And the other thing was the way it balances the exposure. So, the flowers, they seem very white, while they hide that detail with a lot of exposure, and that's not cool. But if you look at this footage, I think it captures the cloud pretty well. It has been able to balance the exposure here better than the OnePlus 6. I have a comparison video that I'm working on, but I remember, and you can look at the grades of colors in the sky. You can look at the clouds pretty significantly, and that's also pretty good. And lastly, the battery. It comes with a 3300 mAh battery along with fast charging and AI charging. AI charging is switched off by default, but you can enable it in the settings, and what that does is it charges your battery intelligently, knowing when to accelerate charging and when to slow it down so that your battery's life is maintained at its best. The battery life in general is at par with the OnePlus 6. Overall, I think it's a pretty phenomenal smartphone with most important flagship features well integrated and offered at a brilliant price point. It's almost as good as the OnePlus 6 but with a more affordable price point, and that makes it an extremely lucrative smartphone to buy. You get an instant 3000 rupee discount with the ICICI credit and debit cards, and that really sweetens the deal.